You guys smell that? Smells like victory over malicious spirits. That's what that smells like. Wowzers. What a last couple of days it's been for myself. There have been so many different ways in which these, there is a stench behind these people with no good intentions for you. And you can almost even smell it if it's happening online too. You can just, man, something smells fishy about this, something smells off. Because our sense of smell is actually one of the most primal senses, of course. Of course, we're all all of our senses are very primal, but there's something very specific when it comes to smell that is very important, because our sense of smell is really one of the, apart from hearing, is the only other sense that we experience in true time. Now, the differentiation between real time and true time is that real time happens in a narrative, and true time happens in narratives and outside of narrative structures. So real time can only happen in a narrative. That's why you see certain things, or you feel certain things, or you taste certain things. You choose what you taste and why you taste it most of the time. We don't always choose what we smell, or we choose what we hear. Sometimes we do choose what we hear depending on the context, but again, that's generally speaking the sense of smell and the sense of hearing. It's going to be the only sense that we have in true time, rather than real time. And what I've realized is that you can be the most, my spirit is very, very fiery in the spirit of this time. And I was talking with somebody in the Regal Academy yesterday, and we were talking about the astrological signs. And it seems to be the case that as soon as the sun went into Leo a few days ago, that's when this fiery spirit, my spirit just, I gotta go, I have to fight this fight. Not because I want to, but because really it comes down to this. My mental fortitude and my own sense of discipline when it comes to lust is really the only thing in my life keeping me fully together right now. Because I've got so many people that I'm making more enemies. I'm making more enemies, and I laugh not because I find it funny. I mean, it is a bit funny because it is part of the melodrama of life, but at the same time, it's wowzers, these people are taking things so seriously. I was thinking about the Matrix attacks, right? And how people watching you, even when they don't like you, is really a Matrix attack, because they're basically monitoring spirits. They're basically trying to keep tabs on you for whatever reason it is. We don't really know the reasons, but all that we know for sure is that we are living our lives to its totality. We are being as present as possible. We are being as conscious as possible. We are giving life to the individual. I'm not a man of the people. I've mentioned this several times before. I don't know, what's not registering. I don't know. I am not a man of the people. I am aware of the differentiation of my persona online and my true self, at the deeper core, but I always allow myself to express the spirit of the moment as I'm being. And it's that's what these people hate. It's the authenticity. Now, authenticity is not necessarily me creating something, because the true self inside me has never spoken a word at all. The true self inside me has never said anything. It just is. It just is. And this is why when you're in touch with that, people can't stop watching you. When you are in tune with the order of life, I used to think that astrology, for example, was poppycock. I used to think that astrology was really just a wishful thinking kind of a thing, because I don't really care for wishful thinking. even when people wish me good fortune or whatever, or I've seen too many people who are my enemies. And I don't say this like in regard to separation. I see them as one. Like, I see them as one with me and I'm one with them. And not in like a psychopathic way or like a schizophrenic way, but just we're all one being expressing itself, and this is just the role in the play that we're playing right now. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And so what I've seen is that my enemies and your enemies will see you as someone who is living life to its totality, and you're in touch with that. Maybe you've got that golden aura. You've got this great sense of being, and you're in touch with the cosmic ways of life. Like, or astrology is absolutely very interesting. I'm considering more and more and more that astrology and numerology are way more true and interesting than I thought. Because I've read the Book of Enoch, right? And in the Book of Enoch, it was the fallen angels that gave the human beings these tools that were not meant to be had. Because if you were to just go out and sun gaze, right? Like, it's earlier in the morning. And if I were to just go out and sun gaze, I wouldn't know what horoscope is in what way or how it is. I would notice through time, through watch time, that, okay, the sun kind of moves this way and moves that way throughout the year. And then I'd also see that the moon goes through, certain cycles every 29 and a half days or so. I would notice these things, but I wouldn't know exactly how to map. Like, I wouldn't have a natal chart per se on like where those things were if I were to just use the senses that I have, right? And when you're in touch with your intuition and your instincts, you just see things more as they are. You don't always know why. There's not always a need for self-awareness when it comes to this kind of thing, because here's what you have that your enemies don't, and this is why they can't stop watching you. You want to know what you have? Nothing. And you might say, what? What do you mean? What do you mean I have nothing? Having nothing is the greatest luxuriousness that you can have inside yourself, because there is nothing to have. Everything that flows out from the Tao goes back in, right? Every single spiritual teaching throughout the history of time has basically said to forsake, these worldly pleasures or the fleshly desires, all these things. Because here's the thing also, if you are led by your flesh, like if you can't handle things, if it's just too much to handle and your flesh is freaking out, it's actually a sign that you're integrating. You're integrating something deeper. And it's not something to be ashamed of. Because there's going to be plenty of times on this journey where you feel like it's just too much. What the heck? What even? Did you guys see that thing? It didn't really look like a bee, but I don't know what else it would have been. But as I was saying, these it's the sense of nothingness. Because when you realize that nothing is yours, everything's yours. And Neville Goddard has talked about how you are imagination itself. And I really don't see how that's like not true anymore. I really don't see how that's not true. I mean, because I've always considered that the soul of existence is imagination playing out, but in such a way that it's expressed in the language of imagination. It never really dawned on me up until I started to study more of Neville Goddard's stuff and correlate it and contrast it with the Bible and the Quran. Like, something I read in the Quran recently was something along the lines, it was in it started with an S, Surah or something like that. And I think it was like 2:5 of Surah. I don't know why that's coming to mind. But anyway, it basically said that, if you try to live for these fleshly things, somebody might have made a comment about it on one of my videos, but if you make what does it say? Nonetheless, the point is that don't put your faith in things that you can't really have, which is pretty much everything. It's pretty much everything. And when you're able to let go of these things, like, you can't really realize the soul of existence inside of you without being able to see everything as one. As long as you see, that person's different from me, or that person's separate from me, or you outsource your authority to a book, or you outsource your authority, I don't know, to something else outside of you, then yeah, you'll not have the kingdom of heaven inside you. It's just not going to be the case. And the reason for that is because there is no outside. Like, think about the biggest psyop that has happened over the last, goodness knows how long. Being inside the house or being outside the house. That's a construct. There is no inside the house. There is no outside. One of the reasons why I love being outside to make videos, quote unquote outside, is because being in the sun and talking about these type of things, I feel more like I'm on psychedelics. And I feel more like love is being able to express itself through me in such a way that is more profound than my enemies would like to believe it is. And they don't want to see these types of messages get out, because, well, then that would liberate the individual. And, well, why? If somebody has a monopoly on thought, if somebody has a monopoly on belief, why would they want anybody to be liberated from that monopoly? There is no reason to be liberated from the monopoly as far as the monopoly is concerned. The people who are monopolizing everything, it's like, imagine you have all of the hotels that you could possibly have on all of your properties that you own in the game of Monopoly. And somebody comes along and says, well, actually, all those hotels aren't really real anyway. Well, yeah, but you still owe me money. Okay, take my money. Take everything that I have, because you will never take me. What? What? Take it. Take it all. It's not going to do anything. You will not stop us. We will continue to rise above all of the obstacles. We will continue to live the truth and let die what is false. Because there's no way that we are going to go down. Because there's no way to go down anyway. There's no way to go up. There's nowhere to stand. There's nowhere to be except here, now. And when you recognize this, that's why they can't stop watching you. Is because there's something, they know that there's something truthful, but they don't know why and they don't know how. And so they're going to watch you. They're going to try to study you and analyze you. But, once again, be mindful of the people that are trying to ask you questions, quote unquote, but it's actually an investigation, because they're trying to trap you. They're trying to put you in a position in which that you have to justify your own existence to people who don't even give a shit about you anyway. And that's not a position you need to be in. Nobody needs to be in that position. You don't have to explain yourself or justify anything. And it's like Alan Watts says, you are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. You're under no obligation to do that or to be that. You can change who you are right now. In fact, I'm not even the same person that I was at the very beginning of this video. Because we're constantly changing. We're formless. We're shapeless. We're like water, like Bruce Lee. And with that being said, this is the Godlike Mastery Education. This is the Regal Academia. And if you want more insights on this, apply to the Godlike Mastery offer that I have, or join the Regal Academy. Because in the Regal Academy, I just launched the Art of Seduction class, reestablished and relaunched it again, and re-released it because, well, there's a lot of people that seemed like in the academy it would be useful information, and I'm cycling through classes right now. So basically the way that classes work is you sign up, and in the premium tier you get access to more classes and such, and you can go through on your own time. You know, you get to study at your own pace. You can go through the class as quickly as you want, and then we have group calls and other exclusive videos and content available as well. But with the Godlike Mastery offer, to give some clarity to what this is for the people that are interested, it's a 3-month offer in which we go 1 month establishing the physical domain, 1 month with the emotional, 1 month with the spiritual. And through all of these things, the spiritual integration is the most difficult process, but it's the most rewarding. Not necessarily externally, because it's easy to measure progress when it comes to the physical and the emotional. Very easy. But the spiritual integration, it's very difficult to measure tangible progress. And I think that that's one of the reasons why religionists have such a hard time and such a difficult time with capitalizing on truth, because they actually are outsourcing their inner authority. Because authority, to be truthful, authority doesn't even technically exist. It just is. The only thing that really exists out of all of this is the soul of existence, is God. Thaddeus is a personality, and it's a great part to play in this cosmic game and such, but it's just, you know, it's an illusion. But that doesn't mean that the ego is not part of the true will of God, the true will of the soul of existence. And so it's difficult to measure the tangible progress in the spiritual integration because, well, it's timeless. So that's one of the reasons why. But apart from that, I trust that this message reached those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Be blessed. Peace. Until next time.